We are back.
We're back.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no, that's Beethoven. So we are back.
Santa Cruz hometown station, M1220 KHTS, the Gazette Radio Hour. And we have with us Joe Messina, who is the host of the Real Side radio show that comes on right after ours, and it's on Monday through Friday. He's also a board member of the Hart High School or the Hart School District, I should say.
Yeah, and Joe, you're welcome. We probably increased your ratings an awful lot, the carryover.
Yeah, thank you. I got 2 more listeners, which brings it up to 110%.
Joe, question. We went to press. We covered this the situation, but we went to press the evening of the meeting, so we were not able to cover the meeting. Did anything happen at the meeting that the gal was speaking that she was going to do?
Actually, I don't want to think for them, so I'm not going to do that. But there were 30-some-odd people there. I think there was 25 or 26 speakers. 18 of them were in support of me, and there were another 10 or 12 in the back of the room that were supporting me as well. And I think the strategy changed once they saw that you know what, these people just wanted equality. They didn't want, and I'm talking about the ones that were supporting me.
Right.
They just wanted equality. Okay, Joe should have the same right to speak his mind. And again, there is a limit, and I don't want to bring up the guy's name, but I will anyway. We had Stephen Winkler as a trustee on one of our boards, and come on, he was outrageously nasty about his comments about the teachers, his comments about Hitler, and that kind of stuff. That's not acceptable anywhere. But again, at the foundational level, for me, I have a belief system that I should be allowed to share. Now, the LGBTQ kids also came up that there's an issue with the FAIR Act, the Hart District, and it's not really an issue to speak of. And
was that what this was all about?
Well, that's what it started with, and for some odd reason, if you read the emails, or that added to the fire, I should say, it was almost like it was all my fault that it wasn't happening. Okay, there's 5 trustees.
Right.
Joe, excuse me. So for our listeners' sake, do you think it started because of that this lady? Because
I do not.
No, but she thought because of your views you were going to not allow that curriculum in? Is that what you think she thought?
I'm sure, as most people think, as you saw in the city council race, that we're doing stuff behind the scenes to keep things happening. And since I'm the most outspoken, then it must have been me slowing this thing down.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's the implementation of the LGBTQ guidelines and curriculum.
And it's not even just the implementation.
With the FAIR Act, right?
Yeah. There's curriculum that has to be approved. The state hasn't even got the curriculum done yet. They've given us some opportunities to use alternate curriculum. The problem with that is that when the real curriculum comes in, we have to buy it again. So there are ways to work this. But the problem with me is, here's how you go. You don't come running in and just start complaining about, and I don't care whether it's that group or any other group, because everybody feels like they've been slighted.
Exactly.
They need to come in and sit down with staff and say, here's what we'd like to see done. Give us some kind of timeline, and then if staff drags their feet and doesn't do it, they can come to the board members and go, look, we've asked you nicely, we've asked you within the law, now we see that you're not moving forward. That's not what happened. They jumped all of that, came to the board back in December, I think it was, and said, hey, you're not doing this, what are you going to do about it? We're caught off guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Exactly. And we can't legally talk about it. It's not agendized. And we've been making headway even in the 3 or 4 months. We've had meetings. We've done things to kind of make sure that we're closer to where we need to be.
Hey, Joe, I want to back up, though.
Okay.
We quoted the lady from in our article in the Gazette, and she said, I'm preparing to address the Hart School Board tomorrow night. There will be a number of speakers at the meeting to again demand a response regarding the district's failure to implement the FAIR Act. Did that happen?
There were a number of speakers there that asked us where we were at with it.
Okay. But it didn't relate to your situation that everybody thought was going to occur at the meeting the other night.
No. And again, there was a couple of speakers who directed at me, directed comments at me, and then there was the one speaker who actually you saw the email from decided not to speak. She handed it off. She gave her time to somebody else.
Okay.
Interesting. I don't think it's something we're going to hear the end of until...
No, and I think, guys, there's another side of this. Just because it didn't happen there at the dais that night, because, we all have to kind of, we have to tweak our strategies at times. But when you read the Facebook posts, when you read the emails, when you read what was going on in social media, the focus was Joe Messina. And they can't say that I turned it into me, because read what they wrote.
They started it.
I was the focus.
Right.
And Doug, I want to thank you too. I read your comments there, and there's very few people that will come out and speak their mind as to, look, I have a belief system. You're a Christian. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with us doing the things we do based on our belief system.
And I think just like the Clippers, Doug, you might even agree with this. We can vote with our wallet.
Yeah.
We can. I mean, if we don't like you, no offense, Joe, if we don't like you, we don't have to vote for you.
Vote me. I say it all the time. If you don't like what I stand for, vote me out. But you voted me in. And again, it wasn't like I went in there saying I was going to do all this stuff and I wouldn't talk about this. People were afraid when I get in I was going to bring prayer back to school. And let me say two quick things about that. One is it's against the state law. Hello.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't bring it in that way. Number two is I don't want the government putting a prayer together for my kids. I'll teach my kids how to pray. Thank you very much.
Hey, Joe, listen, we're going to give you...
get to school.
Sorry, we're going to give you a 10-minute break before you start your show, because we got to go to break. But I got a question for you. I'm going to pretend I'm a reporter on Fox News. I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you ready?
Right,
Are the rumors true you're running for city council in 2016?
Oh, it could be. You don't know. You know what? I'll break it on your show first.
Oh, we're going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
I will. I'll come on your show and tell you. But it could be.
Okay.
Okay,
Joe. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Guys. Thank you for your fairness. I appreciate it very much.
All right. You're listening to Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Sports when we come back, baby.
If you're making me wait, if you're leading me out, I need to know.
Here we are, folks. We are back for one more segment of the Gazette Radio Hour on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're in with my co-host, Mr. Sports. How you doing?
Mr. Sports, what's the deal? I go out of town for 1 week, back to your favorite city in the world, Tucson, and then you come and take my job?
If it was offered, I'm going to accept it.
All right.
Wait, I got a question. This relates to the draft. I do not understand. You watch all the coverage of the draft, and Johnny Manziel. You got half of the experts saying Johnny Manziel is going to be the worst quarterback since Tim Tebow, and you got the other half saying he's going to be great. What? I don't get it. How can there be such contrasting views? Mr. Sports, football, whatever you are.
I think the first one is his size. I think he's a bit undersized, and so I think that kind of scares teams away. And then at the same time, these shorter quarterbacks who are roughly around 6 foot, 5'10", you see them starting to thrive in the NFL because Russell Wilson just won one. Andrew Luck is 6'1",
But it's also a speculation.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. John Gruden was like, he should be drafted first.
Yeah.
I spent time with him. He should be drafted first. Now, the interesting thing, Mr. Sports, Houston's on the clock for round 2, right? It starts in a couple hours. I think it's 7 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever. I don't even know. They used to, their first pick, the very first pick they ever had. Anybody know who that was?
David Carr.
And guess who they could pick because they need a quarterback? He's sitting out there.
His brother.
I think that would be a public relations nightmare, don't you, Mr. Football? I'm calling you Mr. Football. I don't care anymore.
It's going to come as a double package.
That would just absolutely be horrendous. But so, what do you think of the first round? Winners, losers? Nobody? Anybody?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say as a Philadelphia fan, I was very depressed about our pick. I shouldn't say depressed. Nothing bad about our pick, but there were other players that were available, so I think a loser would be Philadelphia right off the bat.
That makes me happy.
For you, I might say Washington just because they didn't have a first pick.
That doesn't make them a loser. It just makes we have an incomplete grade at this point in time.
We'll see what happens.
That's political.
All right, so how about the Cardinals? Because that's
Cardinals made a great move, I thought.
We did.
And that's the safety out of Washington State, Deion Buchanan.
Yeah.
You know what I think is funny? When I was watching the draft last night, I had the LA Times prediction and the USA Today predictions. Team by team.
Yeah.
Nobody had anything right.
Well, it got messed up as soon as Jacksonville picked.
Yeah, it's just
Blake Boyles or Blake Boulet. Yeah, exactly. A good quarterback staying at home, filling the seats. Maybe I don't know. Second pick overall, that's a tough one, and that just cascaded everybody's draft. I think the Raiders picked the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders had a good pick. The Raiders had a good pick.
The Raiders got, I think, the best prospect in this draft.
You really think so?
Khalil Mack, yeah, absolutely.
I know. Here, I'll say it for Doug, but he played at Buffalo.
That doesn't matter.
And one thing I noticed too, Mr. Sports, is I was looking. There was 10 draftees from the Southeast Conference There was 3 from the Pac-12.
There you go.
What does that tell you?
There's no football west of the Mississippi? Duh.
But is that reality or is that perception as far as talent goes?
Oh,
in other words, do players get drafted from the SEC just on reputation alone?
I think so.
All right. Hey, Mr. Football, anybody in the first round going to make your fantasy team?
Sammy Watkins could.
That's where I was going for. Here's my sleeper pick in Buffalo. But they've got a dangerous wide receiver core out there now, don't they?
They do, even with Stevie Johnson being traded.
Hey, he's calling you Mr. Football. I'm calling you Mr. Sports because I'm changing the subject.
Uh-oh.
But 3 weeks ago, you had you on, and I said I was concerned about the Dodgers. You started laughing at me. Now I'm really concerned. Are you still laughing at me?
Yes.
It's May.
You need to win every game. It doesn't matter when it is. Because when you get to the end of September, if you lost 2 games in May, you're going to be upset that they lost.
Yeah, but
what do you think? What's wrong, Mr. Sports? With the boys?
I just don't think they found that offensive groove.
yeah, exactly. And that's like me saying, oh, good. Guess who's in first place in the American League East? Go Orioles. We're going to win it all in May.
I heard Tim Kirkjian say that he predicts the AL East is going to be Baltimore.
Yeah, right. It's May. All right, Mr. Sports. I'm not buying it. I'm going to just not talk baseball until it actually happens.
Until June.
Until June, at least.
That's in 2 weeks.
All right, we're
Mr.
out.
Sports, thank you. See you next week, everybody.
Gazette on AM 1220 KHTS. We'll see you next week.